is Fernando Herrera. I'm a missionary pilot mechanic. I'm originally from Mexico, and currently I am with two organizations at the same time. I'm with Proclaim Aviation Ministries, and at the same time I'm with UIM Aviation. UIM stands for United Indian Missions, which work down in Mexico. The Lord used the experience of being a missionary kid to call me into missions. Being a missionary kid, we would use commercial aviation a lot to just go from one place to another. And that just sparked a passion for aviation. Because, I was just like, airplanes, yeah. But at the same time, I had the example from my parents who were dedicating their lives into full-time ministry. And I was like, you know what? I'd like to do that as well. So I kind of started rejecting the idea of becoming a pilot. To just serve the Lord in a full-time capacity, either as a pastor or as a missionary or whatever God wanted me to be. And it was until I was 12 years old that there's throughout a very long summer, my parents were like, okay, we need to get you something to do. And they just gave me a bunch of books to read. And interestingly enough, one of the books that I had to read was the story of Nate Saint, the Jungle Pilot book. And that just spoke volumes to me, to the point that even though that story ended in tragedy, but for God's glory, I knew that God was calling me to be a missionary pilot since I was 12 years old. Lord, I know that you're calling me to go to the mission field and to be a missionary pilot, but I have no idea where to go from here. So it was really interesting how God opened the door for me to be able to go from Morocco back to Mexico, get my U.S. student visa. And one of the churches in California, they were like, hey, we don't have an aviation program, but we have a seminary. So why don't you just come over here? You can start your training as a missionary pilot. That I ended up going to Southern California Seminary in San Diego, California area. And after 2 years, the Lord opened the door for me to go to Moody Aviation, and that's where I did 5 years. It was supposed to be 4, but it ended up being 5. And I did the 2 years of maintenance, 2 years of flight, and then I just had to do an extra year just to take the extra Bible classes that I didn't take from the first year, if you will. But it was awesome to see how God guided, opened doors, provided in miraculous ways. Moody has really high standards. At least for me, it was quite stressful sometimes. And that's just because of their high standards, and you're sometimes I'm a perfectionist, so I was expecting of myself a little bit more than what they were expecting of me. Or even the FAA, right? So it's just they say there's the FAA, Moody, and then I was just trying to put myself over here. And I just realizing that I'm not perfect, that I'm also carrying my own sinful nature, and that it is okay to make mistakes. And it is okay to also talk with other people. And one of the things that I realized is that just having that relationship with other Moody students, and we was like, hey, I'm struggling with this, and just being able to talk things through and being realizing that I'm not the only one going through that struggle helped a lot. Because sometimes I just felt so alone, in the sense of I thought I was the only one struggling with some of those things throughout the program. Now that my family moved to Worthington with a purpose and the intent of me getting more flight hours, Proclaim has been instrumental for me so that I will be able to brush a lot of the rust that I have developed over the years. Because once again, when I was back in Spokane working for Moody Aviation, I was in the maintenance training department, which meant that it had been 3.5 years since I'd flown, especially because UIM has the requirement of pilots needing a flight experience. It's been amazing to hear about what Proclaim Aviation has done with these Faith Link flights as part of their ministry. And I had never heard of Faith Link flights until I got here to Worthington. And it's really interesting to see how there's a huge need out there here in the States for people that need specialized medical treatment that can just be offered in very seldom places around the country. So what we do is we just go and pick them up to the nearby airport or to their nearest airport so that they will be able to get their medical treatment. And then sometimes we even have the opportunity of bringing them back to their hometown again. But then we have like sometimes 2 hours encapsulated in that little cabin, and we just talk about like the ministry, about what I'm doing, about what they're going through, just being able to pray for them. It's a huge thing. And even just like the passengers that I was transporting yesterday, they were like amazed because they have never heard about Proclaim or Mission Aviation.